So this week I want to talk about, well, I'm doing like a loom style thing, which is kind of new for me. I don't really like the idea of video, especially when it comes to coding, because sometimes you reveal something that you're not trying to reveal, and then it takes forever to edit it away, and it's just easier to do audio and images generally in terms of uploading. But there are some things that I wanted to scroll through and kind of discuss a little bit. So I think this format might suit it better. So I've kind of narrowed the scope of maybe what I would have discussed if it was images and audio. But that gives us the flexibility to actually have interactability and to show off some of the way that these things work. So the things that we're going to talk about are digests. Then we're going to talk about threads. Then we're going to talk about share. These are the three features that I've been working on. There's others, but they probably aren't ready to bring into the weekly process other than just mentioning. I'm working on rolling over the alpha to the production version. There's a number of people who are already on the wait list for your Commonbase, and I actually don't have a place for them until I move over the data from alpha to production and make sure that works. And in order to do that, I need to get a number of kind of deployment CI/CD things in order, as well as making sure that the different environments function the way that they're supposed to, with queues and embeddings. And the team, we're working on that to make sure that everything is ready when we start doing self-service and letting people sign up for the website. But these features are pseudo ready, or at least I can at least talk about the reasoning as to what they're going to be when they're merged into the main pipeline. So this first one that we're looking at here is what I'm calling Daily Digest. So basically what Daily Digest does is it takes a list of entries from the day, so in this case March 31st 2025, and then it takes those entries and runs them through a orchestra of language models to extract interesting entries to talk about, and then it goes to another language model that does a combination of a search lookup within your Commonbase and then one on the internet, and then it combines those two in an email newsletter format. So this is what the result of what we're seeing here. So you can see, for example, that some of the entries that I highlighted were entries about Miyazaki and AI art. Some of them were about World War II portrayal in anime, because there's a lot of people that day on the internet. There was a lot of discourse on Japanese culture, right? Because that's where Studio Ghibli comes from. And then I think this was because I was highlighting something from the Peter Levels Flight Simulator. I don't exactly remember what I highlighted, but you can actually see that these links here. So these links are actually generated by Brave Web Search and a YCB search. So some of them are internal. So for example, might be a link that I have in my system or not. But the cool thing about this is that it allows you see these images, for example, these are pulled directly from YCB and loaded in. So you can see that this is a screenshot that I took. This is another screenshot of the White House posting that terrible Studio Ghibli photo. I noticed that it does a lot of repeats. You know what I mean? There's some images that don't come through because the machine learning model still hallucinates at times, and it doesn't really have a good concept of deduping. So we can see that this one is kind of like done twice, right? For example. But what's really cool again about this, and I think the thing that's going to be mainly useful, is that I clicked on the link that doesn't work, is that most of the links in the thing, they all come from a web search, so they all work insofar that they actually have a real place to go to, and this basically allows you to kind of find stuff on the internet that's similar to what you highlighted, but might not already exist in your system. And as you're building, your own references and things like that. I guess this is the image. Yeah. Okay. So yes, this is the flight simulator. I highlighted a picture of him looking at a phone while he was driving a plane. I think this is a flight simulator. I don't know if this is a real plane. But and then it came up with this whole insight about flight simulators and mobile integration. I got some feedback from a number of librarians, and some people were saying that this was like too many words. They weren't going to read these words. They really kind of just click through the links really quickly and then be like, oh, that one's kind of interesting. I'm going to save that, or I'm going to let that one go. You know, being able to kind of like click the links gives that feeling of like, okay, this is a real big this kind of gives it the environment, the feeling of of the collaboration between the internal and the external, of the reaching and understanding the real world around the concepts that you might be nascently forming in your mind. So I think that the Daily Digest needs work. I like the concept. I might eventually just move to be doing more of a links thing, links and images, uh, perhaps sending just an email notification saying that's been generated in Companion. That was another point of feedback that I got, that people didn't really like it leaving their Companion. So just having it stay inside of the Companion and then having an email notification to go check on it there after they log in. Um, but then just keeping the sources and making it really easy to integrate with the rest of the experience. So that's Digest. Next, I want to talk about Threads. So another point, a point of feedback that I got a while ago was that the graph view can be a bit confusing. The graph view basically involves this huge D3 graph, and I'll pull it up here. Wait, let me try this pause button. So you can see here in this graph, um, it's like a very visual thing, and if you want to find something similar, you can hit the space bar, and then it'll go and get more entries from the system and pull them in, of that one that's similar to what it's seeing. So it'll find its neighbors in neighbor space and then kind of go and fetch those. This is more stuff about the Phantom Troop, of course, right? Because we're now looking at the spider, for example. Um, but the problem with this is that this gets really big really quickly and becomes really kind of cumbersome. And it's kind of easy when you're doing images. Like you can kind of see images here, but when it comes to text entries, it can be really annoying to find the relationship between them, but also it can become really visually taxing to move your mouse in 2D space and kind of geolocate the thing that you're looking for. So one thing that I was thinking about for a while is kind of the real usefulness of kind of Reddit threads and Hacker News threads. And if you're ever on a forum that has a bunch of people, they all kind of end up in this place where you can kind of have a list, and then inside of that list is like a tree of children, and you can kind of thread and thread and thread and thread forever. So I wanted to basically recreate that experience. So like with this, you can see like, you know, you can click this and it'll keep going down and down and down, and then you can kind of like keep like diving into one culture, you know. Well, right now we're in Kanyeville with Bianca Sensori, but if I zoom back out over here, then I'll be at like, you know, um, just celebrity culture again. And now we're looking at portraits of like artists and things like that. I wonder if we can get to like more photographer kind of musicians, photography. You know, these links also work too. So like if you want to click a link, it'll jump to that entry. And basically the idea of this is that it allows you to bring in this huge amount of data and feel like you can scroll through it really easily without being overwhelmed by it. So like, for example, if I wanted to search like ray gun here too, I have added what's it called, full text search to just these threads, which allow you to search it. And anyway, I just think that this is cool because like basically what happens is that it also does a search. So if it doesn't find anything, you can see, for example, this one returned 3 here. It's looking at all of these and making it seem like, okay, do I have anything that isn't already in my space? And when that happens, it returns 0. So you can see that we clicked this arrow and nothing appeared under it because there's nothing else that like matches it anymore. It's basically saying, yeah, there's nothing under here. But if I go back to yeah, this is the 3 photos of Marian Anderson. If I go back to something that's not that, so let's say like this, professional photography, we're going to get all of these results again that are 10 results. So it's basically allows us to make these huge lists of different kind of ideas and things that we want to follow, and then maybe kind of like jump in without just scrolling through the space that you're in to find a bunch of different things in your Commonbase. And it kind of feels like, to me, Skyrim fast travel. Like, I feel like I'm kind of really quickly jumping around space. Like right now I'm looking at ChatGPT, but I'm also looking at marriage and stuff like that too. And then like now I'm in ChatGPT space, but then, if I kind of like click something else that's interesting, then I might be in a different space all of a sudden. Now I'm kind of like in anime space, or like kind of like, dark, creepy, space. You can also click comments. So this one says ChatGPT and image generation girl, and the comments will also do the ChatGPT. We'll actually probably see the Studio Ghibli one that we just saw before. You can see a lot of this stuff is like stuff that I've highlighted from Twitter. So like a lot of it is like really Twitter related stuff, or internet kind of related stuff, or Hunter x Hunter stuff, because I'm obsessed with Hunter x Hunter. You're getting a little glimpse into my own system. But like now we're going to be looking at Spotify stuff, because I have let's get rid of this. I have Tool that I was listening to, like the pot, and it just makes it really easy. And again, I think that the idea is that you should be able to, just through scrolling and clicking on things that you're interested in. And one final thing about this that I want to point out is that if I scroll all the way up to the top here, again, we've been playing with this and clicking a bunch of different entries. If I click this copy markdown button, it copies it to clipboard, and in here I can paste this, and you actually see the ones that I clicked like in order. So you can see that this is the one that I clicked first, and then the second one that I clicked, and it has the links here too, 3, 4, 5, etc., etc. And you can kind of like keep going, and you can see the trail that you followed. So this is when we were doing Kanye looking stuff, and then ChatGPT, and then we finished at Tool, right? And that's how we got here. So anyway, that seems like it's going to be really useful, and it might actually replace the graph, at least in terms of the UX of phones and desktop. But I think users will have the option to switch back and forth. They definitely have trade-offs. Again, the graph is like very visually appealing. Like, it's cool to be able to like look at something like this and scroll it in 2D space, but it's definitely less useful than this, because this has like hundreds of entries that we just clicked through. Maybe I'll add a really easy button to collapse all of the entries or something like that. But like being able to be in Porter Robinson space and ChatGPT space and Hunter x Hunter space and Kanye space and political space all at the exact same time is something that's like really powerful. So I want to make sure that I encourage that. Here's another thing that I don't know if I talked about really quickly, which is Chat YCB, which is also in progress. The idea is that, like, again, it's just more kind of conversational RAG with GPT. So let's say, for example, that we were looking up Uvojin from Hunter x Hunter. Basically, I'll just type in Uvojin Hunter x Hunter, maybe Phantom Troop 2. And basically what this will do is I hit this search YCB button. It searches both your Commonbase and it searches the internet at the exact same time. So then it comes up with the best answer that I can find from the collection of things that I have in and outside of my Commonbase. So you see that the first one is like the result from the Phantom Troop members, Phantom Troop, yada, yada, yada. This is the top 10. And then the external, it comes from the Uvogen Wikipedia, replacement, Mr. Simply Custom, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of like stuff that you can find on the internet. You can really easily add these to YCB. Of course, this is ugly right now and isn't what it's going to look like in the final concept, but this is kind of the idea, again, that you can click on these links and you can actually go and visit them, and it works. And I feel like this chat feels really good because it combines the flexibility of what YCB does. So for example, if I see something interesting that I want to save like this, I click that button in the top left and I wait a few seconds until it gets saved to the system. Then I click view in YCB companion, and then boom, here's the website. So now this is in our system and we can see all the things that are next to it, right? And which are going to be Hunter x Hunter related things, of course, right? But yeah, and then you can of course leave a comment here. This is the fan Wikipedia for Uvogen. And then if I save these changes, we can see that this is going to save. And then we're going to have, the Wikipedia articles and stuff like that, and that are linked to it. But even more importantly, if I go back here and then I refresh this and then I do this again and I hit search, it's going to search, but you're going to see this time that the YCB search results are going to include the this Uvogen match that we just added. Actually, is that the one that we just added? Let's see. This is the trick of semantic search, is that you can't always command where the semantic search operates at. It's interesting that it didn't come up. I'll look into that. Next, really quickly, I wanted to show what I'm working on right now, which is going to be the share page. So the share and collections page is basically the social media equivalent of what your Commonbase is going to be. There's going to be a bunch of QR codes on flyers that exist on campuses and museums soon, and these QR codes and flyers will allow people to highlight or see visuals of things. So you can see, for example, this is the school collection, and then if I go to the music collection, you can see the items in this music collection. But then if I search like prison, for example, then I'm going to get results from the school and the music collection. So this one is from, the only thing that's really matters here is the music collection and the school collection, as well as their similarity scores. So this is the thing that'll end up powering the threads. And this is basically a Commonbase Lite that doesn't need any logging in, but has static entries that people can then view to hype them up to sign up for your Commonbase. Anyway, this has been 17 minutes, so I think I'm going to stop here. But in summary, daily digests, threads, which I closed apparently, and searches, chat YCB, all that good stuff. Okay, bye.